This is an oral history interview with Dr. Hugh Bailey, President of Valdosta State University, on January 18th, 2001. We will begin the interview by asking Dr. Bailey to tell us when he came to Valdosta State.
I came in August 1978.
You came to us from Alabama.
No, I came from South Carolina.
South Carolina.
I've been at Samford University for 22 years. And I was in South Carolina 3 years as academic vice president and dean of faculty. And I came here from Florence, South Carolina.
While you have been here, there have been some major changes in the university and in Valdosta. You have led many of those changes. Would you like to describe some of them for us here?
Well, many of the changes involved the participation of many individuals. I'm not responsible or guilty for any of them in a solo fashion. Oh, there have been many changes. Our student body has approximately doubled. Our admission standards have been raised appreciably. Our faculty has increased more than 100%. We have initiated many programs that are delivered throughout our service region. In fact, the concept of service region as we know it today came into being. We were elevated to become one of the state's 2 regional universities on July 1st, 1993. We saw the establishment of many new programs. We saw the establishment, for example, of the first, this isn't a program, but it encompasses programs, the establishment of the first College of the Arts in the university system back in the 1980s. The beginning of graduate training in many fields, including nursing and the Master of Public Administration degree, the Master of Business Administration degree, of course, the coming of the doctoral programs in 3 areas of education, which is one of the distinguishing characteristics of a regional university. The initiation of symphony orchestra, the coming of football. So through the last 23 years, we have seen many things occur at Valdosta State University.
What do you see as the major function of a regional university here?
The major function of a regional university is to provide those services that are not available from community colleges, or as we call them in the university system of Georgia, our 2-year institutions, that are not readily accessible, available from the research universities or the other 4-year units of the university system. And this includes doctoral level work, it includes continuing education work, it includes research, which is primarily of a regional nature.
Of the accomplishments that you have here at Valdosta State, what do you consider to be your major accomplishment?
Jane, I'm not sure that, in the first place, the things that have occurred perhaps would have occurred had I not been here. So I'm not saying this is my major accomplishment. And I'd hesitate to identify any one. The things I mentioned a moment ago as having occurred are all significant. You know, at any one moment, you think this, when I sit and listen to a performance of the symphony, I think this has to be one of the finest things that's happened here in years, and it is. When I go to a production of a play, when I see us win a football game, when I see the increasing scores of our students on the Regents exam, the increasing graduation rates, at any one moment I feel all of those things are major achievements during the time that I've been the gatekeeper at Valdosta State University.
Now, in the oral interviews that I have done with alumni and people in the community, they always mention your wife as your teammate, and
That's certainly true.
and they always mention your concern about students. Fluker Stewart pointed out that you asked to be informed when a student was in the hospital. Others have pointed out feel
You didn't
this
ask
or
me
that.
the hardest thing I've had to do.
Oh, no,
The
I-
hardest thing I had to do is to inform a parent that a child has been critically injured or has lost a child. And that very fortunate, that seldom happens. We've had compared to most institutions, a very safe situation for our students over the years. But those things do happen. And one has to have empathy with those individuals. Excuse me for interrupting you.
That's all right. I was going to say that concern for students and that openness to students is something that may have distinguished your career here.
Well,
It's
I would
what
like to
people
think
remember.
so, but I think it is not. It is much broader than myself. I think it's a faculty concern. I think it's a staff concern. We have courses going on now with much of the staff, and we've had through the years to make them more sensitive to the needs of students. And while we must have standards, and we will apply those standards, nevertheless, I like to think that these are our clients also, and they chose to be with us. They could have gone elsewhere. With our admission standards being what they are today, almost all our students could gain ready admission to many other institutions. So we have to provide not only a good education, we have to provide a learning and living atmosphere that is conducive to their well-being, or otherwise we will not be able to meet the law of the marketplace.
You have mentioned several of the people who, well, you have mentioned that you have had help in performing your job.
Innumerable help.
Would you tell us about some of the people that have played a key role in assisting you here?
Well, first of all, my wife, of course, who's has given more free service. If we had paid for her service through the years, the university would be bankrupt. I have tremendous admiration and tremendous gratitude for what she's done through the years. But so many people with whom I've worked. We've had good staff members that report directly to me. I understand President Bush being a staff person, the new president-elect who will be president. This interview is being given on the 18th of January, and 2 days hence he'll become the president. I can understand him being a staff person. None of us are smart enough or have enough energy to do the job alone. There was a president of the University of Tennessee named Andy Holt, who was an outstanding president. He used to say, "I am an excellent president. I hire people smarter than I am, and I give them a great deal of freedom." And I think that would be true of what I've attempted to do. We hired wonderful people through the years. Academic vice president, business vice president, vice presidents for student affairs, vice presidents for development, but that office has changed its title. And then also, I don't think it's only at the cabinet level. I think the whole thing filters down, because you and I know, you're a professor of political science, and you know that where the rubber meets the road is where the contact is made with the individual. And that's the faculty member, and that's the secretary in the offices. You can have a tremendously good working team at the upper administrative level, but unless that filters through, unless there is esprit de corps, unless there's concern, it's all in vain. But we've had a great deal of cooperation from many, many people through the years, and I'm very grateful to them.
How do you think VSU will change in the future?
You know, that's extremely hard to predict. As you're aware from your discipline, we're often told that not to project things for more than 5 years. Well, it's well to have goals, but the strategy, at least, for attaining those goals is going to have to be changed very rapidly. There is no question in my mind that this institution is going to play an increasingly important role over a larger span of the state, that South Georgia is our domain, that we need to work very closely, as we are doing, with the public schools, with the technical colleges, with the other units of the university system. I think that we need to continue to utilize technology, and we are a leader in that field today. One of the national .com firms is featuring us in several of its national publications right now, distributing. The initial distribution was 10,000 copies over our web-based, our satellite operations in the dorms. Students are going to become more and more flexible, but at the same time, while I believe that strongly, I think that the one-to-one relationship, the personal relationship, is extremely important. And technology is not going to replace instructors. It's going to, if anything, it's going to make greater demands on individuals who think they can sit down at an email or a terminal and type in an email message and expect an answer from their professor immediately. So in many ways, the demands are going to be increased by technology rather than decreased. But I do think we're going to see more flexibility. We're going to continue to see more concern with outcomes rather than merely mechanical steps towards degrees. That we're going to be concerned with quality, and we're going to add new programs, and those institutions which respond to the needs will survive and thrive, and those who don't will have difficulties. And I think that we have sufficient number of people who are cognizant of what's going on, that we will stay abreast of what's going on and be leaders in these fields.
Do you have any advice that you would like to give your successor? Would you?
I was preceded in the presidency of this institution by a remarkable gentleman, Dr. Walter Martin, whose untimely death occurred within the last year. And the greatest thing he did for me was that he never intruded into what we were attempting to do. He was never negatively critical of what was done. He was always supportive, and that will be my stance. Someone said a few years ago, the president does not have to be smart. He needs only, or she needs only two things. One, a strong physique, and on occasion, enough stamina that his critics will say he's mean as the dickens. And if he has, or she has those two characteristics, he'll get by all right. But the only advice I would have is that the person should follow his or her own inclinations. I'm sure that whoever is chosen will be an excellent individual with good background, and that they're coming into a very good situation. There's no question in my mind the institution will continue to flourish and develop in the years ahead. I feel the person that is chosen is a very fortunate person because they'll have a great opportunity to work with me, very fine people.
How do you think that the history of Valdosta State as a woman's college has affected it today?
Well, probably the most obvious way is that we have a number of very fine alumni who graduated from the two predecessor institutions of Valdosta State College. And they're loyal, they contribute financially and in non-financial ways to the institution. I know you've been to the House of the Woods Luncheon every spring, which is a major event, and I think they are a reservoir of goodwill and support for the institution that is almost unparalleled. We follow the trend of the situation nationally in that some 61% of our students are female. I would like to think that we were a bit higher with female enrollment in earlier years because there was this history of the institution. Grandma went to Valdosta. Mother was a graduate there. It is my choice to go there and follow in that tradition. I think that we may have initiated some programs a little earlier, or the certain programs that we have may have succeeded a bit more broadly than they would otherwise because there was a female base. For example, the College of Education. We've had a large number of students. I think there's the tradition that existed at this institution, the success of the nursing program. I think probably the predecessor institutions of this, of Valdosta State, prepared some of the background that led to the success in these areas.
Now, you have mentioned the house in the woods, and that's one of the things that you and your wife have done to reach out to the community and to the alums. Would you like to tell us about some of the activities that you've been involved in with the community?
Well, there have been many activities. We've had innumerable receptions for many years. We had a 7-hour reception at Christmas time, as you know, because you've been there. And we've had innumerable events at the President's home. Up until very recently, as you know, we lived in a house adjacent to the campus, and this made it more convenient to do that. The university has participated in so many community activities, such as the Thanksgiving Day parades, or not Thanksgiving Day, but the Thanksgiving parade, the Christmas parade shortly after Thanksgiving. I had the privilege of being ex officio member of the Chamber of Commerce for 23 years I've been here, and I've tried to attend as many of those meetings as possible. The Chamber is a powerhouse in this community, and there's been excellent rapport between the university and the community in that area. So many of our people serve on boards and commissions and are involved with Habitat for Humanity and innumerable agencies. I've been privileged to be on the board of the Salvation Army and the board of the Red Cross. I've been on the United Way board at one time. And all of these things bring about a town-gown relationship that is very good. I think that many of us who, unless we let our memories go back to earlier situations, do not realize how good the situation is here. Of course, there's always some inconvenience when students take up parking places that other people want, when there is traffic congestion due to students or other college-related individuals. But nevertheless, compared to most institutions, we have a tremendously good town-gown relationship. And I think that's a great blessing because we support each other. Valdosta State is the largest single employer in the city of Valdosta. The hospital is very close, but I still think we have more employees, about 1,400 employees. Our people is much more than the president of the institution. So many of our people are in so many activities in the community that I think it distinguishes the community. I think that the fact that we do have a constant turnover of new people coming in, and Moody Air Force Base also is a great contributor. The base and the university have made this community far more receptive to new ideas and to new strategies for economic growth and development than most communities that are located 250 miles from a large metropolitan area in the state, 120 miles from Jacksonville.
Okay. Thank you for giving us your time. I will ask you, as I ask all the people that I interview, what is your favorite memory of your service here at Valdosta?
Oh, I'm not sure there is one favorite. I guess the evening of June the 30th, 1993, when we had 17,000 people on campus celebrating university status, had our chancellor here, members of the board of trustees, and the Disney people put on a fireworks display unparalleled in the history of South Georgia. That's a favorite memory. But there are many, many favorite memories. The coming of Governor Miller to campus so many times, and he was such a tremendous supporter of this institution. You know, he provided $375,000 emergency funds that enabled us to become a regional university, to move through the process. And he came down to the Governor's Honors Program, and in the midst of that convocation he announced, this day I have signed the executive order, which at that time I understand was the largest amount of money ever moved out of the Governor's emergency fund to any one entity. He announced at the meeting that he was making that order today, and this institution on the track to being a regional university, and nothing will stop it. That's a great memory, you know. The dinner given for Governor Miller, 1,500 people attended shortly before the end of his tenure in Atlanta, with members of the great choir from every institution in the state. That's a tremendous memory. And then, of course, there are other memories, many of which are quite personal. A student walked across the stage, a graduation of 2 ago, getting a master's degree. And she stopped and she said, I wouldn't be here, but last year, or year before last, you said to me, are you going to graduate school? I said, I don't know. You said you should. You can do it. She said, I would not have come to school had you not said that. And that's a good memory. You know, we like to think you make a little difference in the lives of some people. So there are many wonderful memories, Jane. The first football victory over Troy State in 1982 is a great memory, you know. The coming of Bob Hope to campus and his participation in our annual alumni day. Tremendous memory. So we have many memories. If you ask me that question again in 2 minutes, I probably would give you a different answer. But there are many wonderful memories through the years.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your taking the time and for
My
the
privilege.
interview.
Thank you.